On a fine summer day, Crescent Beach State Park in Cape Elizabeth offers up everything you'd hope to find here. Blue skies, a long beach, endless waves rolling into shore. This is one of Maine's most popular beaches, and that's a problem for the piping plovers. These tiny shorebirds lay their eggs on the sand, which leaves them vulnerable to predators such as raccoons and seagulls, or to humans and dogs that roam into their space. Add in the loss of habitat because of encroaching development, and you can see why the plover population is threatened.
We never had more than 68 nesting pair until last year, when we skyrocketed up to 89, and now we're at probably somewhere around 97.
That's not how many nesting pairs there are on this beach. That's how many there are on 24 beaches from Ogunquit to Reed State Park in Georgetown. Although the numbers are modest, they're encouraging. And yet,
we have more than we thought we would, but at the same time, fewer than 100 nesting pair in the entire state of Maine. Clearly, they still are in need of, protection, and they're still quite vulnerable. Up there you can see one of our nests.
Maine Audubon began monitoring plovers on Maine beaches in 1981. Its Piping Plover Recovery Project aims to protect and conserve these endangered birds and create an environment where they can thrive.
So there's at least one chick underneath this adult. I think it's a male.
June and July are the crucial months when the plovers are nesting and especially vulnerable.
Once they lay 4 eggs, it takes about a month while they're incubating those eggs. And then once they hatch, like I said, it takes about another month until those chicks can fly, or we call them fledged, and they'll fly off down south.
Audubon closely monitors the plovers. It couldn't begin to do the job without the help of its partners, the Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, state parks such as Crescent Beach, numerous town governments, and perhaps most important, hundreds of dedicated volunteers.
One of our volunteers, who's actually our volunteer coordinator at Wells, doesn't even live in Wells. She drives up, I think it's about 40 minutes. And she's there almost every single day. And she's not alone. There are plenty of people that come from far and wide to be a part of this project.
The volunteers keep track of the plovers. Not easy because the birds roam the beach in search of food.
Have you by any chance seen little tiny birds running around the beach at all?
And
down here?
they educate the public.
They're like an endangered species that nest over here, right?
That's awesome. You know so much already. That's great.
The most important lesson to pass along: people and dogs should stay away from the birds. At Crescent Beach, for instance, there are just 2 pairs of nesting plovers. They need to be left alone.
It's very stressful for them when their family units get split up, and those little tiny chicks can't fly for 25 days. So they actually have to run around us. So if we give them plenty of space on the beach, if you hear them peeping, it means you're too close.
At Crescent Beach, Audubon erected this enclosure to protect a pair of nesting plovers. The birds' superb camouflage protects them from natural predators, but not from wandering humans who don't notice them.
People wouldn't know where to stay away from. Even the best of intentioned people can inflict harm on these if they're not roped off and protected.
The nest is actually way back there, but since they've hatched, they've moved down to the way on the other end of the beach to forage.
The preservation effort requires a lot of time, money, and volunteers. If it didn't exist, the consequences for plovers in Maine would be disastrous.
Eventually, they would be, the term is extirpated, which means extinct within this area.
At this point, can we pause to try to clear something up? Are they plovers or plovers?
That might be the hardest question yet. I say plover because I'm a plover lover, and it just rolls off the tongue better, but I would say most people probably say plover.
Okay, now that we've not really settled that issue, a final word. You might think an awful lot of effort is being expended to help about 100 nesting pairs of plovers. But there's also a bigger issue. If the plover population is healthy, so are the beaches that attract them and us.
There's really no way around the fact that when we protect them, we are protecting the beach, and that's the right thing to do. And that's the only way that we can still have beaches like this that are natural and beautiful in the state of Maine.